A year ago at CES, we announced our partnership with Tobii to make this product. Tobii leads the world in eye tracking technology. They've generally done it for medical devices and for research. Tracking where you're looking at, whether you're reviewing marketing materials, or a lot of times they help people who are handicapped actually speak by looking at TV screens and spelling out words. The challenge we had was, how do we actually apply this to gaming? And that's what we spent the better part of the last year and a half really doing. The Sentry is the first gaming eye tracker ever. It's actually also the first consumer-targeted eye tracking device of any kind. Everything Tobii and all eye trackers have been sold to institutions and governments and hospitals and that. The first time eye tracking has ever been brought to a consumer is in the Sentry. Okay? The Sentry is this little device right here. It clips on with a magnetic strip to your screen, sits right at the bottom of your screen, and it watches where your eyes are looking as you play. Up here on the screen, is some video that we took this weekend. So what we did this weekend, we had 5 streamers in hotel rooms in the Cosmopolitan, streaming live, playing 5 different games. The orange circle you see, so this is Shiver playing Dota 2, right? She's talking and chatting with her fans, right? The fans come and watch her play and learn from her because she's a very, very good player. The circle you see there is where her eyes are looking. So her viewers not only can hear her play and see what she's doing, her viewers know what she's looking at every second. Actually, 50 times a second is how often this polls the eye data. This led to a lot of great conversations. I mean, her fans chimed in on why she's looking in certain places, why she wasn't looking in certain places. Lots of really interesting discussion. And for streamers who really want to share with their audiences how they game, this brings an entirely new level of insight to their fan base. So that's really the streaming application of the Sentry eye tracker, and it's really simple to get, and it's really powerful. And we're getting a lot of the data from the chats, and the initial read on the response on this was really phenomenal from the audience. We've also had a lot of streamers already who have come to us and said, how do I get my hands on one of these? It's a great tool for them and what they do when they stream. The other part of this, though, is as this is happening, every piece of that visual gaze data is being captured and recorded. That allows Shiva to go back in, watch her replay. Any gamer can go back in on any game, watch their replay, and see where they were looking throughout the entire game. So when you get shot in the back of the head, where were you looking? Were you looking over here, right? When something really bad happened over here, were you paying attention? Were you, when you died, were you kind of in a place where you just kind of zoned out, or were your eyes really actively moving? You can watch your replay, see critical things that happened in the game, and look up and see where your eye was when those things were happening. Really, really cool stuff. What's more is, for some games, we started with StarCraft and Dota 2. We actually map the game screen. We have to program this, right? We have to define where the mini-map is, where the items are. We then can track a lot of data about your eye gaze during the game. How many times you fixated per minute? Did you look at 200 things in a minute, or did you look at 30 things in a minute, right? How often you looked at the mini-map? How often you looked at, how about when you went to the shop, how many times did you actually have to look at your gold before you actually clicked on the shop? How much time did you spend in every different area of the map, and exactly what were you looking at when? That gives the gamer some really good benchmark data to understand, like, where is my mini-map awareness? It's very, very important in Dota 2, for example, that you look at the mini-map probably every 10 seconds. You'll see a trend where I went 25 seconds, I went a minute without looking at the mini-map. You gotta go figure out what's going on there, right? And maybe it's okay, because maybe you're engaged in something else, but generally, if you don't have that spatial awareness from the mini-map, you're probably missing out on a big part of the game. It gives you then things to work on in training, right? It tracks all kinds of data. It lays data out. Do we have a data table?
That one right there.
Yeah, something like this. This is basically showing the amount of time since you last looked at the mini-map. So here you see it's just going up to about 1:20 before she looked at the mini-map. I think in this one, actually, the doorbell rang and she wasn't actually gaming for that 1:20. But you can see where there's big spikes here. Something's going on where she's distracted, not looking at the mini-map. Now maybe when you play it back, you'll see this little bar. That bar will go right along with the footage. So maybe they were taking on a tower and it didn't make sense to look at the mini-map, and that's okay, but maybe not. So every piece of data we collect, you can measure, you can benchmark, and then you can go right back into the game and see what was happening that might have drawn that behavior and made you work that way. You're able to benchmark against yourself. You're able to set goals. Let's say my fixations per minute is 150. I want to get it to 200. You can set a goal to make sure your eyes are much more active. You can see if your fixations per minute fall toward the end of the game. Do you get tired 10 minutes in? Right? You might, and you might stop looking around so aggressively, and you might just kind of get tunnel vision because you're tired at the end of a game. It gives gamers a lot more information about what they're doing right and where they can improve than they've ever had before. Interesting little example, we're working with some folks on a mod for this for League of Legends. And there was a player who they found he was looking at his cooldown meters 3 times more than the rest of his teammates. They go back in and they look at it, and he's actually looking at his meters. They're like a 45-second cooldown meter. He's looking at it 10 seconds in to check it. Well, clearly you're nowhere near your 45 seconds are up, and that look at 10 seconds does nothing for you except take your eyes away from something else. Their coach's improvement plan for him was, you've got to start building your internal clock to know when 45 seconds are up. So he plays without looking, tries to play without looking. He carry around a wristwatch with a stopwatch and try to look down before it's 45, right? But every time before 30 seconds that he's looking at his cooldown meter is really wasted effort. And over the course of a game, there can be thousands of opportunities to see something more important on the screen. Really, really amazing stuff when you start tracking where your eyes are looking, and then using that information to see how it's affecting how you're playing. We're just at the tip of the iceberg here. Like I said, we've got 2 games that give that rich detail. We've just started producing these units, so they're just now getting into the hands of our pro gaming teams. We're establishing benchmarks. So you can know, when you're playing Dota 2, you can know how often Dendy looks at the minimap, right? You can know how often the top teams in the world, what are their average fixations per minute? Are their eyes twice as active as yours? 4 times? All these things are kind of coming on board, and we'll have all those benchmarks over the next couple of months to share with gamers to help them sort of get on their quest for finding a new way to break through and improve their game.